Hello everybody, Toastmom here. Today we're going to be answering the question, what is the best sensitivity to play in Halo? Now, a lot of people, when they go to sensitivities, they jump straight up the ladder. They go, I'm going to play on 10, this is going to be awesome, it looks freaking cool, it's awesome. Well, that is, in most cases, absolutely not true, as it is most cases in almost anything. Flashy means less efficient in almost everything. Think about basketball. You're playing basketball. You're at the three-pointer line. You jump up, do 3 spins, and in the same jump, you shoot the ball. And boom, swoosh, perfect shot right through the net. And you're like, wow, that was amazing. You just did 3 spins, shot the ball, and got a 3-pointer. That was cool, but wouldn't have been a lot more practical and a lot more useful and consistent if you just did a regular shot and then you made it. That would have been way better. Now, that's a pretty obvious example, but if you look at something that people get wrong all the time, is driving. If you saw that video that I posted a few days ago, you'll notice that we're not drifting around, and if you're at the event and you saw people there who are much more skilled, they're not drifting around either. And that's because while drifting looks really cool and it's pretty neat and pretty awesome to see, it's less efficient because you're losing grip on the ground, which means you can't accelerate or maintain your speed as efficiently. So it's actually worse to do when you're trying to go very, very fast in most situations. So for most cases, those high sensitivities, you just shouldn't go there. There are maybe some fringe cases where people claim they play better on those higher sensitivities, but I don't believe them, and maybe, but probably not. So most likely for you, anything above 6 is probably getting out of the realm of possibility for you to be able to efficiently and consistently play at. Now, that leaves us with 1 through 6. What should we pick there? Well, there's no one true option that is the God option, the best option. The real answer is it varies, and it's different for different people. But I'll show you here some ways that you can start feeling out what is good for you, and if something's too fast or if something's too slow, and the pros and cons of the faster sensitivities and the slower sensitivities. So a great way to figure out what sensitivity is good for you is to play this game right here. It's very simple. You just set up like 2 boxes, maybe a fusion coil that's on instant respawn, something like that that is fairly far apart, and you walk a ways away from it, and you try to, as fast as you can, flick between one to the other. So go like bottomless clip DMR or something like that, and try to shoot one, move to the other, shoot the other, and move back and forth, and continue doing that. If you can't consistently do that, either you just need to work on that, or you need to lower your sensitivity so you can test that out. Lower the sensitivity, see if you can start hitting those targets a little bit better. Now, it is also important to note that you're not going to necessarily be absolutely 100% at this, because you do get a little bit of aim sensitivity on the players when you're normally playing. So if you are missing the mark a little bit or overshooting it, that might be okay. But this is kind of good to narrow down the range of what is a good sensitivity for you. Now, looking at what most people play, generally it's 3, 4, or 5. And I don't know if I've ever seen a pro playing on 6, and I don't think I've ever seen a pro playing any lower than 3. So those are most likely what is going to be best for you, because for most people, that's what works out. Now, there are pros and cons to having a lower sensitivity or having a higher sensitivity. If you have a lower sensitivity, you're going to have a harder time maintaining those up-close targets. So if someone's jumping around you, or if you're having to look down and move around, that is going to be much more difficult than someone on a higher sensitivity, especially if you're looking up and down. One thing that people don't notice a lot of times in Halo is that your up and down sensitivity is actually lower than your left and right sensitivity. So on some of those lower sensitivities like 3, 2, and 1, if someone's jumping really close to you, jumping up, you might not even be able to track onto them fast enough because the aim just literally isn't fast enough. It reminds me of this one tournament, this local tournament that I was at. These guys were playing Guardian, and one of the guys on the team was playing one sensitivity. He's running around with his BR top Guardian, and a guy jumped top gold, and then he was jumping down from top gold to bottom mid, that little gap in between top mid and top gold. And the guy literally couldn't look down fast enough to shoot him. He's shooting his BR, holding the stick all the way down to the rim, and he couldn't get down fast enough. And the other dude 5-shotted him, you know, missed a shot, 5-shotted him, and that kid was out. If he would have had a higher sensitivity, he could have actually tracked onto that guy. So that is the downside to those higher sensitivities. The upside, or downside to the lower sensitivities, sorry. The upside of the lower sensitivities is that you have more control at longer ranges because of that lack of fidelity for the control setup that you have. These analog sticks are not as precise as something like a mouse. So those higher sensitivities are obviously out of the question, but those low sensitivities give you really, really fine adjustments that you can use for sniping at long ranges, DMRing, BRing at long ranges. The only thing about those very, very low sensitivities, maybe not necessarily 3, but 2 and 1, is that mostly Halo is kind of a mid to close range game. You're not really going to be engaging at targets at that range, and if you are, usually the weapon's bullet spread is such that you're not really going to be consistently hitting them anyways, even if your aim is perfect. So that is hopefully a good way, a good structure for you to be able to find out what is good for you. You might be one of those fringe cases where 1 or 2 is actually better for you, or you might be one of those fringe cases where those higher ones, 6 or 7, might actually be better for you. But for generally speaking, 3, 4, and 5 is usually what people go with, and you can go into this game, this little setup where you have 2 boxes, flick between them, see what you can get going. Maybe you could even plug in 2 separate controllers or have your friends stand there so it would simulate some of the auto assist a little bit better, and snap between the targets and see what you're going what is easier for you and what ends up working. If you're overshooting the target, your sensitivity is probably too fast. If you're not getting it to it very quick and you feel like you could handle a higher sensitivity, try out a higher sensitivity. It's all about experience. For me personally, I play 4 and I stick to 4. That's what I've been doing for years. So hopefully that gives you a good understanding and a good starting place. Anyways, that'll be it for this one. If you liked it, you can leave a like or a comment, or you could subscribe because I post new Halo videos every day. Anyways, thank you for watching. See you tomorrow. Bye.